Namaste to all of you and those who are sleeping. You know, 25 years back when we started our journey in sustainable development, we didn't know how to open a matchbox. Matchbox? I mean a transparent matchbox. Have you ever opened a matchbox in your life?
Do so in the kitchen actually.
Good. But you've never seen a transparent matchbox. I'm going to show you a transparent matchbox very transparently, and I'll show you how to open it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I count 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to open it, and your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, your time is up. For failures, normally you don't get reward, but I'm giving you a very beautiful book on universal design on how to make infrastructure barrier-free. Are you a student here?
No, sir. I'm a faculty over here.
Oh, my apologies. I'm giving you a very big responsibility of using this book and changing all the Jesuit institutions so that they become barrier-free across the country in the next 2 years. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Can you help me open this, please? Well, while this PPT is opening, this game was not played in frivolously. There were a lot of messages in this. The first message was that business as usual is not good enough. To think out of the box. And it's also important that I reward failure. It's very important that organizations start rewarding failure because the subject that we are dealing with is very new. We are still growing. And unless people in every organization are allowed to make mistakes, we will not do new things. We'll continue to open the matchbox the way we have been opening. And the time for that is gone. And there's a huge opportunity for innovation in economic, environment, and social dimension. I'd like to see a day when there is no triple bottom line concept at all. When people don't talk about planet, people, planet, and profits. It's all so well meshed that it happens the way we breathe. We are not conscious when we breathe. Can we do that on people, planet, and profit front? That is the message. ITC is a 100-year-old company, 50 years younger than Tata. And whilst our journey started 25 years back, the work on sustainable development commenced about 2000. And in a short span of about 15 years, these are some of the things that we have achieved. We are a water positive company, a carbon positive company, and solid waste recycling company. We have done a forestation area of more than 150,000 hectares, watershed management area of 120,000 hectares. We have enhanced the yield of about 800,000 milk-giving cows. And we also take care of supplementary education of 300,000 children. And we microcredit to 40,000 women without charging usurious rate. You know, there's a saying in Chinese language that if you want to invest for 6 months, grow rice. If you want to invest for 20 years, grow trees. And if you want to invest for 100 years, educate. We are working on all the 3 parameters. So with this brief introduction, I belong to the hotels division. The game that I played with this guy, this faculty was, my apologies, we must look for that which we've been trained not to see. We need to sharpen our perceptual skills. Very, very important, because unless we don't do that, we'll continue to make the same mistakes. And therefore, you know, you find in every park there are lovebirds, but it's not lovebird, it's something else, right? And it happens all the time. Yeah. And I think in the sustainable development field, we need to take a few serious lessons from Noah's Ark. I'm sure most of you know about the Noah's Ark, but I'd like to point out a few key factors. One is don't miss the boat. We seem to be missing the boat in terms of timelines. We are all in the same boat, whether we are in US or in India. Don't listen to critics. When you do new things, you will be criticized. Please become hearing and speech impaired and do the right things if you have to. Speed isn't always an advantage. The snails were on board with the cheetahs. And the last message, remember the Ark was built by amateurs, the Titanic by professionals, and it tanked. So please give importance to amateurs. They'll come out with new ideas, not the professionals. And we all know the background. I'm not going to dwell on population. I'm not going to dwell on water. But are we making ourselves drought proof? And I was happy to hear that this institute is working on. Oops, oops. What happened? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm happy to know that this campus is trying to become uh, off-grid. Off-grid not only in terms of water, but it has an opportunity to become off-grid in usage of energy also, because we are a sun-drenched country. So if it installs solar concentrators on its rooftop, which I assume is empty, then they can generate steam with that for cooking and heat, making water. They can also generate power with that. And all the waste coming out of the hostel, which is wet garbage, can be converted into biogas and used for the kitchen. And the slurry is very good for their beautiful 12-acre campus. So if each campus in this country creates and embeds sustainability in it, then kids will learn by example. And when they go out in the field, they will be armed and they'll hit the road running. And that's the need of the hour. Let's learn from Russia, which did not follow the best industrial practices, and very near Moscow, 90 kids gave birth to, 90 mothers gave birth to 90 children without left hand because of air pollution. And Patagonia, frogs are born with 6 legs, 7 legs because of CFC, ozone hole. And poverty has been talked since morning, so I'm going to skip this. And I belong to Delhi, have the dubious distinction of living in the most polluted city in the world. And, and our rivers, I need not talk about it. Somebody mentioned about this in the morning. And, well, the computer has its own mind and doesn't believe in moving forward when I want it to move. Climate change, wow. Everybody is aware of the polar vortex, another form of climate change. And what Nicholas Stern said, he's a very famous economist for those of you who don't know, he said that the global economy has to invest 1% of its GDP to fight climate change. And if it doesn't, the global economy will have to invest between 15 to 20% of GDP to, it'll lose 15 to 20% of its GDP. So what does it mean to the young students of this college that your salary this year is $100, next year is $90, and next year is $80? Welcome to climate change. Come on, guy. I know that this state has got a very large green cover, but a very beautiful study was done by Deutsche Bank to calculate what is the GDP of 2 states. And they took the natural resource into account, and they found that 2 states, UP and Bihar, have got negative GDP because they took all the natural resources into account. And Government of India, for the first time next year, is going to come out with green GDP, which means that colleges such as this must start teaching the students about eco-valuation and green accounting systems. In the interest of time, I cannot go into details of that, but please Google it and you'll find a lot of content in this. Now, it's very important that the principles of accounting system, which we talk about so lovingly in dealing with the dollars and the pounds and the rupees, are applied to natural resources. Very beautiful words are used. But when you go to the next slide, you'll find that the principle of prudence is not applied. We don't have water, we will not do water harvesting, we buy tankers. Is it principle of prudence? We use sanitary band around the water closet to say it's clean. Do you have to state that it's clean? Can't you make it clean and not put that piece of paper? I mean, hotels world over, only 5% of the travelers use the bathtubs, but every hotel has got a bathtub. And then we talk about capex and opex. And I recall in 1992, when I was in a very remote place called Andamans, we made a museum at a cost of about 25,000 rupees. The original concept of the museum was about 100 crores. We didn't have that 100 crores. In a pictorial form, we made this museum at a cost of 25,000 rupees. And those were the days when internet word did not exist. We didn't know that a similar thought process was going on in the state of Arizona, and they made a museum which we had conceptualized, and they spent $200 million. They put 8 scientists in that room, and only fresh air was pumped for them, and they were supposed to manage their ecosystem and manage their food and water. These 8 scientists came out of that new, so-called Biosphere 2, looking very haggard after 2 years, and then there was the realization that natural resources have a value, and how do we start valuing them? And WRI did a beautiful work on this, and way back in 1998 they calculated that the global GDP was $18 trillion, and if we had to pay nature for its services, the value of natural resources that time was valued at $36 trillion. That means for every dollar you earn, you have to pay that much. So these are some of the new concepts that you need to put into play, and how have we started analyzing these opportunities and integrating in our business? It's weaved into our business. So we have 11 hotels which are all platinum certified. That means they are energy efficient by design intent, they are water efficient by design intent, and some of the principles that I shared with you, I'll share in the next slide with you. Okay, the building on the right is the world's first largest green building. That's my office. And the building to my left is the ITC Gardenia in Bangalore. It's the first platinum rated building in the new construction category. And in the building on the right, we have reduced our energy consumption by 51% by design intent. When we were told about this concept in 2002, when we were constructing this building, we disbelieved the figures. When CII came and said, why don't you make this building green? And they said, you will save 51% by design intent. We gave a disbelieving look to these guys. And then once the project was over, today we have a lot of data. We find that we are saving not 51% by design intent, but 52%. Because recently a certification was done, and it's been declared as the most energy efficient building in the world. And Hillary Clinton visited our office in 2009. She was supposed to spend 1 hour. She spent 3 hours out there. This computer is very, very obstinate. It still seems to be tweaking my presentation, so I think I will just talk extempore. In this particular building, by design intent, we reduced our water consumption by 40%. Not a single drop of water goes in the municipal drain. All the water that goes into our aquifer is used, and the reused water goes to our sewage treatment plant within the office, and the used water is used for our cooling tower and the air conditioning system, for our flushing, and for our toilet needs. And our company is slightly dyslexic in nature, you know, it can't understand the rules. So sometimes we break the rules completely. And one of my young engineers said, we must disconnect the water in the urinals. I said, go ahead and do that. So we have disconnected the water in the gents' urinal. And what have we done to ensure that it doesn't smell? We have got a special device called a bioblock, which absorbs the smell of the urine, but water is not required. We save 300 kiloliters of water per annum. But this is not the size of the prize. The size of the prize is the fact that so many people visit us and they use the restroom. They ask us for the number of this guy who supplies us. And then when we go to their office, we find that they have also implemented it. The point that I'm trying to make is that our sustainable development should be embedded in every service design of our institutions, so that we don't have to talk about it. It is seen or felt by our supply chain or whoever it is. I'm wondering why this computer is behaving like this, but let me try and move it to next. Finally. Okay. So if you want a green building, there are 5 criteria. I'm not going to go into the details of these 5 criteria, but one of the things we did.
Sir, can you try to?
Yeah. I think I'll just go very fast now, but I'm sure you'll give me a level playing field compared to the other gentlemen who took a little extra time.
But the field is becoming quite large.
I will finish it fast. Okay, so as we speak today, 42% of energy comes from renewable sources in ITC. We are decarbonizing our operation. We had the opportunity of buying an axe for 20 rupees and cutting these trees when we were making the hotel in Bangalore. We spent 600,000 rupees in relocating these trees, internalizing environmental externalities. Our restaurant in Bangalore is non-air conditioned. Our lobby is non-air conditioned. Therefore, we are reducing the embodied water of energy. That's another subject. And we installed a small solar concentrator in our old head office in 2000. And we had a dream that one day our hotel will operate with a large solar concentrator, which generates, this one displaces 13 liters of diesel per hour for 8 hours a day for 10 months in a year. If we get our act right in this country, we can move 50% of our coal imports, which constitutes about $145 billion, and become financially independent. We also help the farmers to understand best farming practices. So, in conclusion, I would say that many of our designs are wrong. So, we need to look at policy at country levels and see what are the policies which is having a negative impact, and change those policies so that you can bring about larger change. Incremental changes with ISO 14000 and 2001 and OSHA is not good enough. We also have an initiative on disability. We have employed 300 people with disabilities. We have mainstreamed it. We have also networked with other partners, and they are operating their own business. We have also helped 1,000 people with multiple disabilities to sit at home and just break the petals from the stem, and these flowers are discarded from our hotels, and they get 2,000 rupees sitting at home. And organic colors are extracted from this and sold during Holi. So the point that I'm trying to make is there's waste in wealth. And we've written books on this subject so that nobody goes through 5 years of learning. Please learn in 5 days and run with it. Please download it from our website, www.itchotels.in, and a universal design book. So what we need is transformative change. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.